So let's talk about Jordan Morris is now Seattle's all-time leading goal scorer, 87th across all competitions, passing Raul Diaz who had 86 in all comps. By the way, it says Freddie Montero had 79 in all comps, 59 in MLS. I tried to do a deep dive on my lunch break today to figure out, okay, who had the best goals per 90, because it was I felt like Montero scored more of those goals in the first 3 years because he did a 3-year stint, left and came back for a 3-year stint. But I wanted to validate that. Did he? I don't know. League wise, I think the answer is yes when I looked. But when we're talking about all competitions, I started doing it. You might see. I don't know how well this will translate on there, but this is it's all blurry, which is good. But this is all my notes tracking what Champions Cup game, what Open Cup game Montero played in, which one he scored in, all of that stuff. Took an hour of my time today. Still cannot get to a real answer because the system is flawed. And this is probably one of my biggest things. And one of the things I think that is when people get upset, like I saw somebody get online during the Champions Cup games this week and said, why can't MLS sell these games on a Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday? Baseball plays every day of the week. NBA plays every day of the week. Why can't you fill up an MLS stadium with these? Well, I'll say they probably don't market the CCC and Open Cup games enough because they don't even house the stats of them on their website. If you go to the MLS Club, click a player and click their stats, it's all the stats from the actual MLS season. It doesn't include all competitions. Not anywhere I could find did this include all competitions, which means I then tried to go outside to FBref. And guess what? FBref only keeps track of the MLS statistics. There is no Champions League statistics listed there. There was no, you click Freddie Montero's name, it shows what league he played in, how many goals he scored. Does not say anything about what comp. So then I had to start digging even more. I go to Wikipedia, and it has the full list of all of the people that have scored all-time leading goal scorers for Seattle. And we have, like I said, Freddie Montero, 79. It says he has 59 league goals, 10 Open Cup goals, 9 Champions Cup goals, 1 Leagues Cup goal. So I dove into those. And guess what? Champions League, CONCACAF, does not have accurate stats on their website. They have it for the league, the season of, but you can't just type in Freddie Montero on CONCACAF and it tell you how many goals he scored in the Champions League. Which means then I had to go to Wikipedia and find every single game over the course of the seasons he would have been in the Champions League. And then find the report that takes me to the archived game log. Some of those website links were broken, which means I couldn't check some of those games. But when I did check, I had 1 more Open Cup goal than it's listed here, and 3 more Champions League goals than what's listed here, which means I don't know if Montero's 79 is accurate. Now, I'm sure when Seattle is quoting that Morris has broken Ruidíaz at 87, I would assume they have the accurate stats. But maybe somebody didn't just update Montero's count, and maybe Montero actually has 84 instead of 79, which would make the race look a little tighter at the top. But I can't verify that. And going back to why can't they sell CCC tickets, why can't people show up? Because they don't market it. They don't even have the dang stats or anywhere I can see online that prompts he is the all-time leading goal scorer, Jordan Morris, and he scored this many in the Champions League and this many. It's all focused on just MLS record. And they barely had, they had maybe 1 or 2 articles up there about, hey, he broke the record. Cool. It didn't even seem like they treated it to the right reverence that we should be treating this. This is a historic club from the 70s. Morris is a local boy who decided to not go to Europe. He decided to play here in the USA for his local club, and now he's the all-time leading goal scorer. And Logan, I also throw it to you to say, this is what I keep talking about on how MLS can grow. is not just bringing the big players over, but you have a player like Morris who grew up in Seattle, who watched the Seattle Sounders, was part of their academy, came into the league, and say, I'm not going to go to Europe because I want to play for Seattle. And now he is the all time leading goal scorer, which means there are probably kids in the stands in Seattle that say, I would not go to Chelsea FC. I want to become Jordan Morris. I want to break his record. And that's what you need. You need kids looking up to people that have been in the league for years, breaking records. And that is what you need to be able to capture those young kids to want to play here. And then eventually your best players will be here.
Yeah, and I think this kind of goes back to our Messi, LeBron, Shohei kind of discussion too. Because if you look across the board, Jordan, the only league that grows tremendously each year that it is on is the NFL. Why is that? Well, because they market their quarterbacks. And I don't mean just Patrick Mahomes. I mean Lamar Jackson. I mean Josh Allen. I mean the problems like Aaron Rodgers. Like, you have an idea, like there's this identity with each of the quarterbacks, and you can go, oh man, Dak Prescott, or like, and then you can start to rattle off some of the defensive guys, like a Miles Garrett. Like, there's so many characters. Whereas, like, that's where I feel like that's what's gone wrong with NBA, MLB, and MLS. And I do think the problem with that, and I think what's happened is that there was such a focus on one particular player. Because when Jordan was around, Jordan, when Michael Jordan was around, it wasn't just about Michael and Michael's league. It was about everybody else that was trying to take down Michael. Like, that's where the NBA excelled. And the NBA did that with Kobe and Shaq. Like, it had your characters, Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce. Like, whereas I feel like the MLS, Jordan, like you said, this is a great point, and I really didn't think about this. Jordan, can you name like a face of MLS if I took away Lionel Messi and all the Inter Miami players?
No, we were talking about it last week, right? When you
Yeah,
said maybe like Chucho was, and I'm like,
right,
I don't think anybody knew who Chucho was outside of our
right.
our our
Our little
sphere.
realm. Yeah,
I think it would have been a U.S. men's national team player. It would probably be somebody like Jordan Morris or Jesus Ferreira, in the sense of like they know of them from the U.S.
yeah.
men's national team.
Right. Because if I said US player, Jordan, my first thought goes to Christian Pulisic, and he doesn't play in
Yes,
this league. So,
exactly.
what have they done over there? Jordan, I hear more about Christian Pulisic's success in Milan way more than I hear about anybody's success. Like Jordan
Yep.
Morris, if I
Yep.
hadn't been watching that game, I would have had no idea that Jordan Morris broke a record. Like,
Yep.
besides going back and looking at highlights and going, oh crap. Like,
I didn't
even
even know he
right.
was on the verge. That is a
Right.
bad thing. When he
Right.
scored and the announcer said it, I was like, I should have known he was close.
Right. Yeah.
They should have been talking about this on countdown
Yeah.
every minute. This should be when we have stat chases and they're breaking into Aaron Judge hitting and tying Roger Maris.
Yeah.
That stuff is talked about all the time
Right.
in sports. This was not even like mentioned until they're like, oh, you know what? I think he's kind of close.
Yeah.
Now, of course, Rui Diaz just left last year, so of course he was right there, and at a time they were both going back and forth. I can't even tell you when Rui Diaz passed Montero, though.
Yeah.
So that's another issue. I would say is I can't tell you who leads the unions right now.
Hmm.
I think Gazdag passed it, or I don't know.
Yeah.
Somebody did recently, but like that's the thing is like I can't check it anywhere except for Wikipedia, and that's edited by anybody. I can't trust those numbers because when I just did the math here for Montero's, I'm giving him another 4 goals.
Right. Yeah. And you and I can, like, like, you texted me today and said, hey, you think I could reach out to Seattle's comms team? And I was like, well,
I'll
yes,
try. Yeah.
we have this. There are a lot of teams like FC Dallas. I know is one in particular. They send like this huge manifesto of goals getting ready to be broken,
Yes. Yeah.
like all these things. And if you go to the bottom of MLS's notes in the game summary of different things, it will tell you on the team's website, they've pulled that stuff and placed them. But that's so much work for the average viewer to go and do just randomly, to go to the bottom of the game summary of the game they've just watched to find all these things. Like, I do feel like MLB, like, they're constantly tweeting this stuff. Like, it's constantly out there. Like, well, who's breaking what record? One thing I found, Jordan, that I really infuriates me, and I get it. I understand why they do it. But I was watching the Inter Miami game yesterday, and every single one of the the little tickers that have the players' names, and then it has the little asterisks. You know what each of them said? Games spent in the Premier League.
Really?
That's it. Yeah. Every single Dean Smith, Lionel Messi, Luis
Mhm.
Suarez, Zaha, who Suarez, I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. He hasn't been in the Premier League forever. Every single one of them
Yeah,
listed the
close to
number
10
of
years.
matches. Yes, in Premier
Probably at
League.
this point.
Messi's was La Liga,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
because he obviously didn't play Prem. But every single
Couldn't
one of
hack it.
theirs was
Couldn't
Premier
hack it
League.
in the
And I'm
Premier League.
like, I just don't understand. Why are we doing that? Why aren't we putting up stats from last year? Like, here's what he did last year. This is what it means. Who did he fall in best season in MLS history? Why not put that on there?
And you
Like,
can't even say it's because of Sunday Night Soccer because this was the game
right.
before that. So, like,
Yeah.
you're marketing to more casuals with Sunday Night Soccer.
Right.
Anybody that has Apple TV can watch it. I could maybe excuse it. It's just the game before MLS
Hmm.
Sunday Night Soccer. So obviously, these are the people that already pay for it. They don't need to know how many games
They
played in
know.
the Premier League.
Right.
They know these players.
Right. So that's just something that aggravated me. But like you said, Jordan, I will say, I think baseball and basketball, because they have baseball and basketball reference, like a paid subscription service that you can go buy for stats, which a lot of their reporters do. They do that. And that's something that was mentioned in that article as well. The next step that MLS needs to take is in the analytics side. And a lot of this will come with analytics because when you have more analytics, you need more stats, and those stats will become available. But we're such a niche league right now. I feel like it's just not there. And like you said, there's so many times, Jordan, where I'm trying to look up championship, like the Champions Cup, like teams from other countries. You can't find anything. It's like this team doesn't even exist and they're flying up here to play. Like that bugs me too. And I get that they're more remote, but like, couldn't MLS figure out that, or CONCACAF figure that out and go, hey, this is what all you need to know about this team. I don't have to go try to search the Ecuadorian web to try to figure out what's going on. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just aggravating. It's all aggravating because we're just not there yet. And I'm sure we'll get there at some point. But like you said, the stats are so minimalistic and it's so hard to find. And then you've got FOTMob and FBref that are completely wrong compared to MLS stats. And I'm like, where do
Mhm.
all these people get these stats from? I'm just really confused.